Well, this was such a thrill to put together. I think one of the things that I really loved about the whole long series of conversations was hearing about how your life informs the work. And we started, of course, we did try to go somewhat chronological from childhood up through the great watersheds of Wall of Light and Landline. We're in front of a landline. Do you want to talk a little bit maybe about how it is that you're able to take, because the landlines, of course, were created in a moment of some anguish, some physical pain, and to make great beauty out of that kind of difficulty?
Yeah, well, since we're in front of a landline, that's a good way to start, I guess. I had a lot of trouble with my back. In fact, it started when I was 16, because I'm quite tall. It's the curse of the tall person. And it got worse and worse, of course, and I had an operation and had terrible trouble afterwards. And at one point, I foolishly, like I often do, jumped on a trampoline with my son and really poleaxed myself. So then, of course, I was horizontal for a very long time, addicted, as so many women are in America, to OxyContin. It was a terrible time. I got off of it with great effort. And when I returned to the studio one Sunday afternoon, I felt very weakened. And I somehow, I suppose, imitated my own sofa posture, which was horizontal, with only one bright spot in the day, which was a visit from my kid, Oisin, and we'd watch a little movie together. And I just painted horizontally.
Right.
I painted what I was.
Well, life had taken all verticality out of your life, so
yeah,
you just made art out of that.
Yeah, I rarely stood up in that 3-month period.
Right.
And so horizontals were my world, so I painted what I knew.
Mm. But you, at some point, lost faith in the minimalist project, chiefly because it itself had stripped too much out of it. What exactly had it sort of expunged that you could no longer abide?
Well, I noticed that a lot of the people that were very interested in minimalism seemed to me to be in some way aristocratic.
Right.
Like a famous example would be Panza. And the other one in Texas would be Dumenil. And I'm not saying they weren't great collectors or cultural archetypes, but they seem to be disconnected from the street.
Right.
And I come from the street. I mean, I really come from the street. So, and just to fast forward, I do think that the current inclusiveness is not only fair, it's necessary. Because you need raw material to make art. And I thought that it had become so refined that you can't really refine refinement unless if you don't want to end up with nothing.
Right.
You're not saying anything anymore.
Right.
Your language becomes so reduced that it's authoritarian in some way. That was the other thing I didn't like about it. It just didn't seem to include very much of anybody's life or the dirt of life, the material of things. We live in a world of material.
We end the book with on a nice note. You say that as opposed to Picasso, who believed art was war, you feel art is love. How does that connect with your larger project and your larger attitude towards what art can achieve?
Well, I think art is like grass. You can never see it growing, but it does grow. And it needs, of course, to be nurtured and not have gasoline poured on it.